Welcome to 3D Design. My name is William. You have been chosen for or volunteered for one of the very best classes that we offer inside of Geek Squad Academy. I'm going to show you a little bit about how you can teach your junior agents to make a great house inside of SketchUp and learn the tools that they can use to continue their education. SketchUp is absolutely fantastic. It's a free program that they or you can download at home and have an opportunity not just to play with these tools, but then save their work in a format that can be used by 3D printers around the world. What we're going to do first is learn a little bit about how to get SketchUp working just right. Make sure that you show the Derby the Dog video to your junior agents. The conversation that it provokes about how 3D design helps people and animals is a critical first step to knowing why students should care about 3D design in the first place. Once you open SketchUp, you're going to want to choose the template called Feet and Inches. This will give you that green background, the blue sky, and it gives you our friend Stan, who stands in the middle of our shape here. Stan is a simple guy, and what he needs is a house. But first, we need to learn how to get SketchUp to do what we need it to do. If we go to the top bar and choose View and Toolbars, we can uncheck the box for Getting Started and check the Large Tool Set. What you may find throughout a day of working with your junior agents is that this toolbar may become detached. If you double-click on the title bar at the top, you'll be able to move it back to the exact position that it needs to go to. So it's time to begin and give Stan his house. We will start with the rectangle tool. It's the square with the red line through it. If we start and draw a simple foundation for Stan's house, we can make it about as big as we need it to be with Stan somewhere in the middle. This should make a foundation for the house right under Stan's feet, and it's at this point that we will use one of the most popular tools that we use, called the Push and Pull tool. A good thing to do after you've given your students an opportunity to learn how the program works is to start to ask them what tool they think we should use for each step as we go along. Here we're going to use our push and pull tool to make our shape, instead of this two-dimensional flat surface, into a three-dimensional house. And it's right here typically that you capture your students' interests. They see that they can make this shape any darn thing they want, and that's where you get them. This is a good opportunity next to show them how the orbit and the pan tool work. You can also use the middle button on the mouse. If you click on the little red and green arrow shape called the Orbit tool on the bottom left-hand corner of the toolbar side, what you can do next is rotate our shape so that we can see the top of the house more clearly. This is important because we're about to do things to the top of the house to make our roof. The next tool that you'll want to use is the Line tool. It's the one shaped like the pencil towards the top. What you'll want to do is start with dragging your tool along the edge of your house until you find what's called the midpoint. This is the point where, on that edge, the line tool snaps to the side and turns that light blue color. That kind of teal color tells us that we are right in the middle of the greater line here, and we'll want to use that to drag across to the other side of our house. When we do that and get it right, you should see that same light blue color here as well. If you let go, it should make a dark line. And if you do this in any more than one step, you'll find that it won't work for the steps that we need to do next. This is a great time to teach your students what the undo tool is. Everybody makes mistakes, and it's a great idea to try to teach them how to get to that. The undo tool can be found by hitting Control-Z. Some of you may prefer to go to Edit and Undo at the top instead, and both are fine options. This is also a great chance to ask your students how many sides to their shape they see right now. The answer pretty much should always be 3. You can also ask your students how many sides they think their shape has total. The answer should be 6, like a set of dice. The reason why we ask that is because each side right now is its own face. A face is an important term in 3D design. It's basically a shape that you can do things to. So let's redraw our line through the midpoint one more time. And what you'll find is that we have now bisected the top face in order to make two new faces here. What we're going to use next is a new tool called the Move tool. To make a terrible joke, we're going to raise the roof. If we click and hold with the Move tool, we can lift the roof of our house straight up. And some of your students may be a little more creative at this point and make things that aren't exactly a perfect roof. This might be a good way to get everybody back on the same page by making the joke that no building inspector would approve a roof that doesn't hold water, for example. So if we make our roof something like this, this will allow all students to be on the same page, and that is important for your class. You're going to want to make sure that everybody is keeping up with one another so that you don't have to explain things over and over again. You'll next want to use your Orbit tool to rotate to the bottom of your house, because what we're going to do is make an offset or a soffit for our roof. What we're going to use is a tool made exactly for that called the Offset tool, which can be found here on the toolbar. We're not going to want to make it very wide, so you can start just by drawing a very thin inner rectangle for the bottom of our house. We can use, what else? Our most popular tool, the Push-Pull tool, in order to lift the sides of our house up towards the roof, giving our shape a little more realistic of a look for a house. Once your students have completed this, it's a great chance for you to ask your students at this point, what things does our house lack in order to be a little more realistic? You'll find that kids can come up with a whole bunch of different things. You might hear that it needs doors and windows, that it needs stairs or a hot tub. All of these things are definitely true. One of the things that we will start with so that we can move forward is putting a chimney on the top of our house. For this, we're going to use a tool called the Line tool, which looks a little bit like a pencil here. And instead of making lines through other faces, we're actually going to draw right on the edge of our house. We can draw upward, and that blue colored line lets us know that we're on the blue axis that is here, letting us know that we're going straight up rather than accidentally going to the side or diagonal. We can then draw across the shape of our house, and we should see it turn that red color, which matches the red axis here, letting us know we should be going straight across. Next, we can draw down again, and that blue color lets us know that we should, at this point, have a complete shape. When we do, it turns that white color there, and we know something about our chimney that the students may not, which is that our chimney is absolutely perfectly thin. It has no depth, no dimension. What we will want to do is use our Push-Pull tool and show our students how to give our chimney some depth. We can actually push it quite a ways across our house, and then chase the back with the Push-Pull tool again to put the chimney exactly where we want it to go. This does leave unsightly lines here, which your students will definitely pick up on. In order to get rid of those and teach them a new tool, we're going to use the eraser here. You could click and delete each line individually, but the better way to do it is to click and hold and drag through your two lines, which allows you to delete two or many more lines all at one time. It is also possible to accidentally delete something that you don't mean to, so be careful with that tool and make sure to teach them undo. Once we have our chimney and our roof in place, we're going to want to work on some of the other suggestions that your students make. You can use the rectangle tool to draw a set of stairs on the front of your house. And we could even use our line tool with the midpoint that we discovered before to draw a basic set of stairs that we could pull out of our house like a set of drawers. Next, if we use our rectangle tool, we can draw in a door and push it in with the push-pull tool as well. For our windows, we've got another secret that one of our tools does. If we draw an absolutely perfect window, we can use the Move tool and hold down Control at the same time to duplicate the window we just made. There's also a little bit of a secret to our Push-Pull tool. If we push one of our windows in, and then take our Push-Pull tool, click and hold, and move it over the depth of a previous face, it snaps to exactly the same depth. And we can do that for all of our windows to make them exactly as deep as they need to be. One of the things that the students often like to do is see Bob, and you can challenge them to do things like giving Bob a skylight in his house. We can duplicate that skylight a couple of times across with our Move tool and the Control button held down. Once we make the skylights that we think Bob would enjoy the most, if we choose our Select tool, the cursor shape in the top left, we can combine that with the Delete key on the keyboard in order to remove faces from our 3D object and see Bob again. You should think of some other challenges that you can give your students. Often things like round windows can be a lot of fun. It can be fun to challenge them to make Bob a hot tub or a pool outside. They can also find a lot of fun to be had with the textures and colors that are part of the paint bucket shape here. Enjoy!